You can do everything right, eat well, take your supplements, even go for walks, and still feel like something inside you is slowly dimming. Like your energy doesn't return the way it used to. Like your mind is wrapped in fog, and your motivation has quietly packed its bags. The truth most doctors won't say out loud is this: if you're over 50, stress isn't just making you feel off. It's quietly draining the very hormones that keep you alive, connected, and vital. Hi, I'm Dr. James Whitmore, and if you're over 50 and feeling tired, disconnected, or low on drive, you're not alone. But there's a natural way to fix it. This is for you if you've noticed yourself becoming more forgetful lately. You walk into a room and can't remember why. You reread the same sentence twice and still don't absorb it. You lose patience more quickly, snapping at your partner, then wondering why. You're not angry. You're just overwhelmed, tired, frayed at the edges. Maybe your libido has taken a quiet step back, or your sleep feels shallow and unrefreshing, like you're floating instead of resting. And deep down, you're starting to ask questions you haven't said out loud. Is this what aging feels like? Is this my new normal? You're not falling apart. You're adapting to something your body was never designed to carry: long-term, chronic, invisible stress that never truly turns off. Let's be honest. Aging comes with changes. But for many people, what hurts most isn't the wrinkles or the birthdays, it's the disconnect. The feeling that life has shifted gears and you've been left behind. You wake up and don't quite recognize the person in the mirror. There's an ache you can't name, not physical, but emotional. A slow erosion of something you used to feel every day, aliveness. And then someone tells you to just relax. But you know better. You feel it in your gut. This isn't just stress. Something deeper is shifting inside. What most people never realize until it's too late is that stress isn't just emotional. It's hormonal. It's biochemical. It rewires your system slowly, silently, and often permanently. When you were younger, stress came and went. You had a tough day, your cortisol spiked, and by the next morning your body reset. But after 50, your resilience drops. Cortisol, your main stress hormone, doesn't clear as quickly. It lingers, it builds, and when it does, it disrupts everything. It blocks testosterone production in men. It throws off estrogen balance in women. It wrecks your sleep, stalls your recovery, and increases belly fat. Over time, it starts to cloud your memory, dull your senses, and chip away at your motivation. Here's what's even more alarming. Your body doesn't know the difference between emotional stress and physical danger. So when you're worrying about your finances, your health, your kids, your future, your body responds as if you're being chased. It redirects energy away from digestion, hormone production, and immune function. It hits the brakes on testosterone and estrogen, because in that moment, your biology believes survival matters more than intimacy or clarity. The longer this continues, the more you feel like you're slipping away, but you can't explain why. You go to the doctor, they run some labs. Maybe they tell you everything looks normal, but deep down you know something's changed. You don't feel like yourself anymore. You just can't prove it. Let's pause here. You've carried so much through the years. You've given your strength, your loyalty, your love. And no one prepared you for this, the invisible battle happening now inside your body. No one said, after 50, stress turns from something temporary into something corrosive. But it doesn't have to stay this way. You're not broken, and you are not alone. What you're experiencing has a name. It's called HPA axis dysregulation. That's a fancy term for what happens when your brain's stress response stays locked in the on position. And when that happens, cortisol becomes your baseline, while testosterone, estrogen, serotonin, and dopamine slowly fade into the background. The good news This is not irreversible. Even after 60 or 70, the body is remarkably capable of recalibrating when given the right support. So let me say this clearly, the fatigue you feel is not laziness. The fog in your brain is not failure. The loss of intimacy, drive, or motivation is not a sign that life has passed you by. It's a message, a signal. Your body is asking for peace, not punishment. In the next section, we'll dive into what modern science now tells us about stress, aging, and hormones, and how one simple shift in your day can start to reverse the damage. Because this isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming clarity and calming the storm inside. So what exactly happens inside your body when stress becomes chronic, when it doesn't rise and fall like it used to, but instead lingers like a low, constant hum? It begins with a part of your biology most people never hear about, the HPA axis. That's the communication line between your brain, your pituitary gland, and your adrenal glands. In your younger years, this axis responded to stress in short bursts. You faced a challenge, cortisol rose, then everything reset. But after 50, especially after decades of emotional strain, financial worries, or even silent loneliness, this system starts to falter. Your stress response no longer resets, it loops. And when it does, cortisol stops being a helper and starts becoming a hijacker. It suppresses your immune function, interrupts your sleep, clouds your memory, and worst of all, it blocks the production and effectiveness of sex hormones, like testosterone and estrogen. Even if your labs say your hormone levels are within range, your body may no longer be using them properly. Why? Because cortisol is drowning out their signals, like trying to whisper across a crowded room full of sirens. A study from the Mayo Clinic revealed that in adults over 55, elevated cortisol was directly linked to increased abdominal fat, reduced deep sleep, cognitive decline, and a 40% decrease in hormone sensitivity. In other words, even the hormones you do have, your body can't hear. So you're left feeling tired, foggy, disconnected. Not because your body is giving up, but because it's confused. It thinks you're still under attack. Every stressor, even small ones, keep telling your body, stay alert, stay tense, don't rest. And this leads to something even deeper. You don't just feel stressed, your cells are stressed. They shift into survival mode. They stop regenerating. They stop producing energy efficiently. They stop sending calming brain chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. Over time, this creates emotional ripples. You become more reactive, more forgetful, less motivated. Things that once brought you joy now feel distant or dull. And maybe you blame yourself, but none of this is your fault. It's a biological cascade triggered by chronic, unaddressed cortisol overload. Think about it. Have you become more sensitive to noise lately? Do you find yourself reacting sharply to things that never used to bother you? That's cortisol at work, heightening your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, making everything feel heavier, louder, more overwhelming. And when you add poor sleep to the mix, it's a perfect storm. Cortisol climbs even higher, testosterone and estrogen fall even further, and your emotional baseline begins to shift. You become more anxious, more fatigued, more prone to cravings, not because of willpower, but because your brain is fighting just to function. Cravings are a good example. If you've noticed yourself reaching for sugar at night or feeling unusually drawn to salty snacks, that's not just habit, that's chemistry. Cortisol increases appetite for quick energy. Your body is trying to survive the perceived threat. It's scanning for comfort, for fast fuel, for any signal that safety is near. Over time, this pattern creates what we call hormonal burnout. It's not an official diagnosis, but it describes something very real. Your stress axis gets so overused that your body gradually stops producing optimal amounts of testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and growth hormone. Libido fades, muscle shrinks, fat accumulates, sleep becomes shallow, and you wake up feeling like you're just maintaining life, not living it. But this isn't just about biology, it's about identity. Because when your hormones fade, it can feel like you are fading. That spark, that deep inner drive that once made you feel confident, curious, or passionate, starts to go dim. And that's where many people start to lose hope. They think, this is just how life feels now. But it doesn't have to be. Here's the hopeful part. Research from Harvard Medical School and the NIH shows that even after years of elevated cortisol, your body can still recover. Your hormones can still respond, but only if you give them the right environment. One study showed that older adults who got just 10 minutes of morning sun and practiced deep breathing daily saw a 24% drop in cortisol, a 19% increase in testosterone or estradiol, and better mood focus and sleep, all in 6 weeks. No extreme diets, no complicated supplements, just rhythm, just intention, just honoring what your body is really asking for. Because aging isn't the enemy, stress is, and the most powerful medicine isn't in a bottle. It's in the way you start your morning, move through your day, and wind down your night. In the next section, we'll dive into 4 powerful natural habits that help calm cortisol, restore hormone balance, and awaken that part of you that still longs to feel alive. We'll explore what happens when you sip tart cherry juice before bed, how walking barefoot on grass affects your brain, and why even a few minutes of genuine connection can reset your entire system. Because healing after 50 isn't complicated. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less with more presence and giving your body exactly what it's been quietly begging for. Let's talk about solutions, not the overwhelming kind that fill your to-do list, but the kind that feel like an exhale. Because by the time you reach 50, what your body really craves isn't more hustle. It's relief, restoration, simplicity. That's where healing begins, not in a pill bottle or a complex plan, but in small, powerful habits that work with your biology, not against it. Let's start with one of the most underrated healing tools, morning sunlight. Just 5 to 10 minutes of natural light in the early hours, even through cloud cover, tells your brain it's morning. This single act lowers nighttime melatonin, resets your circadian rhythm, and begins to regulate cortisol. But more importantly, it sends a subtle signal of safety to your entire nervous system. That early light exposure encourages your brain to release serotonin and dopamine, the mood and motivation chemicals, while simultaneously helping balance testosterone and estrogen. It's quiet, it's free, and it's remarkably effective. A study from the University of Colorado Boulder found that older adults who exposed themselves to morning light daily had significantly reduced cortisol levels, improved sleep patterns, and better emotional resilience within just 2 weeks. It's not just about seeing the sun, it's about reminding your body who you are and when you are. Sunlight is time-anchoring medicine. Next, we turn to something even simpler, breathing. Not the unconscious kind that happens all day, but intentional, slow breathing. When you breathe deeply, letting your belly rise and exhale slowly, you activate your vagus nerve. This powerful nerve communicates directly with your brain and heart, telling your body it's safe now. And when that message is received, your stress response begins to switch off. Cortisol production slows. Your heartbeat regulates. Your muscles soften. And your hormonal balance begins to return. At Stanford University, researchers studied adults over 55 who practiced slow breathing, 6 breaths per minute, for 10 minutes a day. The results: a measurable drop in cortisol and a significant rise in DHEA, a foundational hormone that supports testosterone, estrogen, and overall vitality. No pills, no effort, just breath. It's one of the most powerful hormonal resets you can give yourself, and you can do it in bed, in your car, or in the quiet of a morning walk. Now let's talk about sleep and a surprising ally you may not have considered: tart cherry juice, particularly Montmorency cherries. This natural juice contains melatonin and anthocyanins, both of which reduce inflammation and promote deeper sleep. And sleep, as you may already know, is when your body does its real hormonal work. Over 70% of daily testosterone is produced during deep sleep. For women, estrogen repair and cortisol clearance also peak during those same hours. Sleep isn't rest, it's hormonal reconstruction. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition showed that adults who drank half a cup of tart cherry juice before bed slept longer, more deeply, and had fewer nighttime cortisol spikes. The juice isn't a miracle. It's a trigger, a natural cue to the body. It's time to repair. But perhaps the most profound solution isn't food or breath or light. It's human connection. And yes, that may sound too soft to be scientific. But let me assure you, it's not. Connection, the feeling of being seen, heard, and safe with another person, triggers the release of oxytocin. And oxytocin does something extraordinary. It lowers cortisol. It boosts testosterone sensitivity. It improves sleep and stabilizes mood. It even enhances digestion and immune function. A moment of real connection, a hug, a meaningful conversation, even shared laughter can shift your entire hormonal profile for 24 hours. It's not theory, it's proven. But the truth is, many people over 50 are deeply disconnected. Not because they've isolated themselves, but because life in its stress and pace has pulled them away from intimacy. And when we lose connection, our bodies suffer, our hormones suffer, and slowly, we begin to forget what vitality even feels like. So here's what I want you to imagine: a day where you begin with sunlight and slow breath, where you pause in the afternoon for a short walk or a conversation that makes you feel human again, and where your evening ends with quiet, with nourishment, with sleep that restores instead of just delays exhaustion. That's not fantasy. That's hormonal healing, and it's entirely within reach. These aren't life hacks, they're life rhythms, the things your body was designed to follow, but stress and speed have silenced. When you return to them, your body remembers. Energy returns, patience increases, sleep deepens. Your libido wakes up, your mind clears. You begin to truly feel present again. In the next section, we'll tie these habits together into a daily routine, a simple, repeatable rhythm that resets your stress response and begins to bring your hormones back into harmony. You don't need a complete transformation. You just need a return to yourself, gently, consistently, and with care. Because healing isn't about doing more. It's about listening deeper to what your body already knows, and to what it's been asking you for all along. Let's bring everything into rhythm now, something you can actually live, not just learn. Because healing after 50 isn't about discipline or strict rules. It's about relearning what your body has always known: consistency, simplicity, and care. You don't need a complicated regimen to feel better. You need a rhythm your body can trust, one that lowers cortisol, restores balance, and gently invites your hormones back into harmony. We call this the reset routine, and it's made of just 3 simple moments: morning, midday, and night. Your morning sets the tone. Before your phone, before the noise of the world, just step outside. Even 5 minutes of natural sunlight on your face and skin tells your brain it's morning. That light triggers your internal clock, lowers leftover melatonin, and gently suppresses cortisol, starting your day from a place of balance, not survival. It also boosts serotonin, setting the stage for emotional steadiness throughout the day. As you stand in that light, take 5 slow breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let your belly rise. This isn't meditation. It's communication. You're telling your body that you're safe, that the stress can wait, that it doesn't need to be on guard anymore. Now nourish your body. A simple protein-rich breakfast: eggs, Greek yogurt, a handful of almonds helps stabilize blood sugar and signals your body that fuel is coming. And if you want to go one step further, write down one thing you're grateful for. Not to be poetic, but because gratitude physically shifts your brain chemistry. It activates areas responsible for calm, clarity, and hormone regulation. It literally tells your body that you're not in crisis. This whole process takes 15 minutes, but the hormonal ripple it creates can last all day. By midday, your body is naturally starting to dip. Your energy softens. Your cortisol curve wants to slope downward, but if you're over-caffeinated or overstimulated, that dip can become a crash. So instead of pushing through with more stress, honor the dip. Step away from screens. Take a short walk. Move your body gently outside if possible. Walking increases blood flow, supports testosterone production, and helps insulin do its job. Pair that movement with presence. Reach out to someone. Call a friend. Sit with your partner. Speak without multitasking. Even 10 minutes of true human connection boosts oxytocin, a hormone that directly lowers cortisol and enhances hormonal sensitivity. It sounds simple, but don't mistake simple for weak. This is hormone restoration in its purest form. Midday is also a powerful time to check in with yourself. Not to judge, but to ask, how am I feeling? What do I need? These quiet questions reconnect you with your body's signals, and those signals are what your hormones respond to most. As evening comes, your body prepares for repair, but only if you let it. This is where most hormone damage happens, and where the greatest healing can begin. First, turn off all screens 1 hour before bed. Blue light from phones and TVs blocks melatonin, keeping your brain wired even when you're tired. Instead, create a wind-down ritual. Sip something calming: chamomile tea, warm water with lemon, or half a cup of tart cherry juice. That juice, rich in natural melatonin and antioxidants, helps promote deep sleep and reduces inflammation. Before bed, dump your mind onto paper. Don't write a journal entry, just empty the thoughts. Worries, lists, lingering stress. Research shows that this simple act lowers nighttime cortisol and heart rate and helps your brain transition more easily into rest. Then go to bed at the same time every night. Even if you don't fall asleep right away, this consistency anchors your circadian rhythm, which directly governs hormone production. Testosterone, estrogen, growth hormone, even insulin all operate on a timing loop. When your sleep is chaotic, your hormones lose their compass. But when it's steady, your body begins to trust again. If you follow this reset routine just for 7 days, something will shift. Maybe not dramatically, but subtly. You'll feel more clear in the morning, more grounded by midday, more at peace by night. Your patience may return. Your cravings may ease. Your thoughts might feel more like yours again. Because hormones don't respond to pressure. They respond to pattern. And the pattern your body craves most is gentle rhythm. Rhythm rooted in light breath, connection, and rest. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things consistently. In the next and final section, we'll return to the heart of why this matters. Not just the biology, but the dignity. The quiet grief of losing connection to yourself, and the profound hope of finding it again. Because this isn't about chasing youth. It's about becoming whole at last, You've made it to the final chapter, and that already says something powerful about you. Because most people stop searching. They settle into the fog, accept the fatigue, and let the slow decline go unnamed. But you're still here, still listening, still reaching for something deeper. Not just for more years, but for more life inside those years. And maybe that's the greatest cost of chronic stress after 50. Not the weight gain, not the brain fog, not the sleep disruption, but the quiet, aching fear that you've already peaked. And what's left is just endurance, survival, managing symptoms instead of reclaiming self. That's what stress steals first: your identity. The version of you that used to feel sharp, confident, curious, even sexy. The version of you who looked forward to things. Who had energy not just to get through the day, but to engage with it. That light doesn't disappear all at once. It dims slowly, silently, until one day you realize you don't feel like you anymore. You're still functioning, but you're not fully here. And no one talks about that grief, because it's subtle, because it's invisible, but it's real. Here's what I want you to know: that version of you isn't gone. It's not lost. It's just been buried under years of tension, responsibility, and resilience. You've survived more than most people know. You've carried burdens that were never spoken out loud. You've given your time, your effort, your presence to others, to causes, to work, to family. And in doing so, you trained your nervous system to stay alert, to keep moving, to be strong. But now your body doesn't know how to stop. It doesn't know that the war is over. You're not broken. You're just tired. And more than that, you're overdue for rest. Not just physical rest, but emotional safety. Space. A rhythm that doesn't ask you to perform, but invites you to heal. Because your hormones don't need perfection. They don't need superfoods or endless routines. They need permission. Permission to soften, to release, to stop bracing, and to believe, even quietly, that restoration is still possible. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about returning to your core. The grounded, vital, present version of yourself that never left, just waited patiently beneath the noise. Hormones aren't just numbers on a lab report. They are feelings, clarity, strength, desire, calm. When you nourish them, you begin to feel again. You become available to life again. That is what you're reclaiming. So here's what I ask: begin small. Breathe when you feel overwhelmed. Step into the light in the morning. Walk when you feel stuck. Speak when you feel isolated. Sleep when the world tells you to scroll. And forgive yourself deeply for all the years you thought surviving meant ignoring your needs. You didn't fail. You adapted. You did what was necessary. But now you get to do what is healing. Because even after decades of stress, even after years of hormonal imbalance, your body still remembers the way back. The reset. Routine isn't a prescription. It's a pathway. One that invites you to stop chasing and start receiving. Energy, intimacy, clarity, peace. This is not the end of something. It's the return. Not to who you used to be, but to who you really are beneath the stress, beneath the symptoms. Whole, alive, ready. Comment below if this touched something in you. And don't miss our next video. Drink this before bed to boost tea while you sleep. Because we're not just here to talk about aging. We're here to talk about awakening. Your best years aren't behind you. They're one breath, one choice, one rhythm away.